distinguished scholars from the National Open University of Nigeria, and others who are joining us here, other very senior officers of the National Open University of Nigeria. At this juncture, I would like to crave your indulgence to please rise for Nigeria's anthem to be followed by the Bangladesh anthem, please. Now the anthem of the Bangladesh here. And now the anthem of NOUN.
To be
May we be seated, please. Again, it is with a great sense of honor that I welcome you this morning to the National Open University of Nigeria, the headquarters of the biggest open and distance learning institution across the West African sub-region, where a special piece of advocacy drive is being organized by the Bangladesh High Commission to Nigeria in collaboration with the National Open University of Nigeria, and well captured as Dialogue on Diplomacy as a Social Capital for Attaining Demographic Dividend, case for Bangladesh and Nigeria. As we set to explore into what this special meeting will provide for us all, let me seize this opportunity to invite to join us at the high table. It's my pleasure to invite the chairman of this great occasion, incidentally the Vice Chancellor of the National Open University of Nigeria, Professor Olufemi Peters, ably represented by the Deputy Vice Chancellor in charge of administration, Professor Isaac Bosworth, to please join us here at the high table, please. On the same wavelength, I'd like to invite Your Excellency, the Bangladesh High Commissioner to Nigeria, Your Excellency, Mr. Masudur Rahman, to please join us at the high table, please. I'd like to also use the opportunity to invite our facilitator, Professor Kamal Bello, to please join us at the high table. While he's getting seated, I would like to invite the Vice Chancellor of the National Open University of Nigeria, Professor Olufemi Peters, ably represented by Professor Isaac Bosworth, the Deputy Vice Chancellor in charge of administration, for his address of welcome. Sir.
His Excellency, the High Commissioner of Bangladesh, and his entourage, the principal officers present here and online, the Dean, Faculty of Social Sciences, and other deans here present, our elder statesman as far as academics is concerned, and a very good supporter of the programs we normally hold in National Open University of Nigeria, Emeritus Professor Sogolo. I want to recognize deans, other deans and directors present, heads of units, heads of departments, the wonderful staff of National Open University, students of National Open University, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. You are welcome to this program. I must say that our boss, the #1 VC in Nigeria, and indeed the West African sub-region, Professor Olufemi Peters, told me 2 weeks ago that he's interested in attending this program. And in fact, he said his journey was going to take place tomorrow, Wednesday. In fact, I have the message here with me where he said he will travel tomorrow and that he will be very happy to be here. But you see, man proposes, but God disposes. He had told me I will act for him as from tomorrow. But myself, I came into yesterday in the morning and I discovered that he had said I should be treating the files that were supposed to be treated by him. And so today I hereby tender his apologies. He had loved very much to be here. Your Excellency, take note, the VC had wanted to be here personally, but for some issues beyond his control, he has not been able to come, and so has asked me to act for him. Now, this topic is apt and appropriate, and it was ably suggested by the High Commissioner for Bangladesh, and I quickly now related same after getting the VC's approval, which our able Dean of Faculty of Social Sciences. And so the dialogue is going to take place today between the High Commissioner and then two of our staff. It is expected to sensitize us. It is expected to enlighten us. It is expected to arouse interest in us to be able to ask our questions and as it were, and to know what to do. Without taking much of our time, I want to say, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate your coming. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the dialogue. And I believe, as I've been told by the Bangladesh High Commission, something we normally do. There will be refreshment after the dialogue. And so I hereby welcome you, and on behalf of the VC, declare this occasion open. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vice Chancellor, National Open University of Nigeria, Professor Olufemi Peters, ably represented by the Deputy Vice Chancellor in charge of administration, Professor Isaac Bosworth. On the same wavelength, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite Your Excellency, the Bangladesh High Commissioner to Nigeria, Mr. Masudur Rahman, for his special address here before we slip into the dialogue. Your Excellency, sir.
Honorable Vice Chancellor, His Excellency Peter Olufumi of the National Open University of Nigeria, a good soul and a good friend of mine, being ably represented by another good soul and a good friend of mine, the Deputy Vice Chancellor of the university and looking after administration, His Excellency Mr. Isaac, Professor Isaac Bosworth. It's been a pleasure for some time, and seated the Professor Kamal Bello, Dean, Faculty of Social Science, National Open University, present here, the faculty heads and the students who are probably listening online. It's been a pleasure for quite some time, for last 3-4 years, to come to this wonderful university and present some of our thoughts. Today, during the presentation of the national anthem of your university, I saw that your university strongly stands for the unity, cohesion of your nation, and you stand for the equity, justice, and as well as the values, core values, fundamental human values that mankind stood for. And this is a wonderful occasion that this university stood for, those fundamental values that are very much enshrined in the UN Charter of Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the basic preamble that have been enunciated by the national anthem of this great university. Now, before I go into the slide, I must acknowledge the wonderful theme of this university. Also I noticed that learn at any place at your pace. Yes, we should be doing that actually. Learn at any place at your pace. That's this university stand for. And nothing can be so much harmonious for a free-loving, independent, and a very free mind is actually free, and free people that we live in this planet that are very much enshrined. Today, as I go into my slides, I will look at this backdrop as well. Today, 63%, you see, the 63% of Bangladesh's population are below the age of 39 years, and 27 is the median age of Bangladesh. Now, if I ask the Nigerian youth, you will have the similar 69% of your people are below the age of 49, and median age should be around 33 or 32. We have a similar synergy between Nigeria and Bangladesh. Huge population, 230 million people in Nigeria, and we are 180 million people. So together we have a 400 million people, and when we talk about $1 trillion economy together, but each of us has the ambition to be a $1 trillion economy individually. And we can do that. Nigeria can very well do that at its driving seat. Now, at the beginning, our chief advisor of the Bangladesh, the Nobel laureate for peace, Professor Dr. Muhammad Yunus, said that Esho desh badlai, prithivi badlai. Let us change the country and then change the world. Now, when I talk about this motto, from a diplomat's perspective, how I perceive. Let us change the country and change the world. This motto coming from Bangladesh, from the thoughts of our Honorable Chief Advisor, who is the head of the government, Nobel laureate Dr. Muhammad Yunus. That means if you change your country, your diplomacy will automatically remain changed, and then diplomacy changes the other countries to change their thoughts about Bangladesh. So that's what we are doing. We should force the whole world to adapt how we changed, because we cannot change ourselves first the way the whole world will impose us. We have to change our country and then adapt the world to change to our tastes, to our social cohesion, to our social development. So this is a very greater in-depth. You know, this first two lines in Bengali can give a huge thought into our discussion. Now, what is diplomacy? Can I go into the slide directly? Okay, it went. Okay, there. Okay. So before I delve into the demographic dividend, let me say, as a practitioner's point of view, diplomacy is invisible to some extent. Our work is not visible. Diplomacy is a tact, not an act. The first word. Diplomacy is multidisciplinary, but diplomacy is not an act. It is not visible. Today, this tact is actually a strategy. It's a tactic that we try to work on. Now, the same thing is blended into social capital. What is social capital? Social capital is actually the coherence of values in the society that we as civil society, intelligentsia, academia, media, business world inculcate into the society. That is the value, social value. Now, diplomats are working in an embassy, usually, in another country. As a diplomat, I do not work in my country. I'm just a government official, bureaucrat, right? I don't consider we wear two hats, bureaucrat and diplomat. But when you are in another country under the jurisdiction of that country's rules and laws, as a diplomat, I have to be abiding by that country's rules and laws. So, the diplomat's role in an embassy is actually mostly connected to the government to government. But there is another tracks of diplomacy that has whole branched out, that is public diplomacy, that I am trying to do. I am connecting directly with the public. So public diplomacy, then digital diplomacy, then cultural diplomacy, and then economic diplomacy. We can say these four principles. These four principles are coming into play to form as the norm setter, as the value setter in terms of this new theoretics that is bringing out of the system. Sometimes countries create this social capital. within that context, say inside the Nigerian context. But diplomats create another angle into that country. And they bring in some ideas which sometimes are enriching each other, and it creates a coherence, and it creates the synergy between the two countries. Now, these four tools I mentioned: economic diplomacy, cultural diplomacy, public diplomacy, digital diplomacy. Because why? Because these days social media has a strong influence, and there are a lot of disinformation in the social media. So diplomats must step into the space of the digital diplomacy to divert or avert this disinformation, misinformation, misrepresentation. So that's why the social capital needs to be created. And this social capital will create a different impact in different countries. For Nigeria, it should be the demographic dividend. It should be, because your country's foreign policy is demography, diaspora, democracy, and then development. Well, diplomacy, whatever, development and diplomacy. Both synergy coming in place. So diplomats has to be there in the context of this conundrum of these Ds. I have seen 5 Ds. 4 Ds are your principles. Bangladesh is also simultaneously espousing these 4 Ds. And what is demographic dividend? This is decrease of your elderly population, decrease of your death rate in the elderly population. That is, people will live longer, that is, life expectancy has to grow bigger, and then also decrease in birth rate, that is, decline in fertility rate. That means huge mass of working population who will create the GDP and the economic size, and increase productivity, increase jobs for the people, and using that huge workforce base. And unless developing countries like Bangladesh, Nigeria utilize this demographic dividend, they cannot actually create the tangible development. That is what? That is the diversifying of economy. That is also under the vision of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's renewed hope agenda, that is 7 agendas. So what has impressed me in this country is this administration's theoretical framework, and they have worked very fantastically, and it is working. It is gradually working. Now let us go into that way by increasing working product, I mentioned, by investment in youth, and by conserving savings, at the same time. Because saving will create that productivity and will get more people into jobs. Why demographic dividend is infringed? It is because of political implication, cultural tradition, religious dogma, traditional myth, societal values, maintaining family hierarchy and reputation, war, pandemic, unforeseen development. These all calls for more narrations, but I will just quickly skip. What is demographic dividend and how it is achieved, I mentioned. Now, the demographic synergies again, what is that? Against dividend, demographic dividend. The Bangladesh and Nigeria stands almost on the same page of the synergy. We have a high growth and high mortality rate. Almost half of the population is under 18. Rapid urbanization, high adolescent maternity, mortality, and high risk pregnancies. Population is greatest asset of our country. Land is the second greatest asset. Again, for Bangladesh, same. Agriculture is our main source. Inequality of resource distribution, yes, in Bangladesh, Nigeria, it is pronounced. Inequality of gender-based employment, climatic vulnerabilities and displacement, and of course influx of economic political migrants. You know, these are very much common. Should we waste time on conventional ways to gain demographic dividend? You know, I think I shouldn't, you know, loss of demographic dividend, to address that, we shouldn't waste time on conventional method. That's why I have said social capital. I have said diplomacy has to be on social capital. And this diplomacy is not only diplomats. I'm not going into the points, you can see through. That's why I'm saying the answer is no. And you will find that it is not working. You know, the social tools through government channels, sorry, I'm a government officer saying, they will not work. We all have to be a diplomat, not like me. Everybody is a diplomat. On this platform, on an international event like this, even if I call you and speak something, you are a diplomat. You are representing your country, right? If you are a citizenry of Nigeria, but when you are talking in front of a media, some media person is asking you something, then remember you are also a diplomat. This is the main essence I am saying. Why? Because what you are telling in the media, remember, all diplomats in Nigeria, they are also watching you. And your reflections has to be very much objective. You cannot spread disinformation on media. That is the message. So that's why everybody is a diplomat here in this 21st century. And I will tell you some of the startling factors that is taking shape. Today we are living in a post-truth world. I don't want to elaborate it. We are living in an era of ultranationalism. We are living in an era of nationalistic leaders in the major capitals. I don't want to mention. And it has become more challenging for developing countries to sustain and create the tangible benefits to its common mass who are struggling to cope with, you know, poverty. Now, in this context, we have to forge our cohesion, coherence, and find a connecting podium where we will speak together. Now, these are not working. We have to create that social values, social norms, social precedents, and create that information. We can create dividend by educate, employ, and empower. Educate, then employ, and empower. That is basic, fundamental theory of how you achieve demographic dividend. When talking about demographic dividend, I am saying about digital diplomacy. Well, you need to bridge the digital divide between developing countries and the developed countries. You know, that is what, you know, the internet access in Canada and America or Australia, South Korea, Japan, and internet connection and speed and the facilities, you know, in Bangladesh or Nigeria or, you know, in the developing countries are huge difference. Because of this divide, our youth are denied of jobs, devoid of getting the skills, being skilled up, and we have to give those skilling up of our youths, you know. So to do that in this 20th century or following 20th century or in the 21st century, we have to create our diaspora. We have to create our diaspora and make them stronger, you know, and demographic dividend to create a friendly, environment-friendly growth in urban as well as suburban economies, two economies where I said that what happens between urban economy and suburban economy, because people comes from suburban areas to the cities for jobs, and crowd. But it is not like that. We have to create jobs, make shelters, make shelter-based jobs, make different arrangements so that the communities live in their own space and create their values, social values as well as economic values. And in this context, we create demographic dividend, and digital diplomacy can act. What is digital diplomacy? Digital diplomacy is not what, say we are posting all our activities in Facebook. Is it only digital diplomacy? Because an embassy is posting its things in the, all embassies are doing in the website. It is a part of digital diplomacy. But the real digital diplomacy is, if embassies, we have a major role. If we can bring your stakeholders and our stakeholders together and create and produce the solutions and apps and the e-commerce, e-trading, e-business, e-school, e-governance, e-school, anything e, or anything like, you know, sit in, stay in Abuja, study in Bangladesh, like that. Stay in Dhaka, study in Abuja, like that. Stay in Abuja, do business anywhere in the world. It's like that. So we have to work towards that. The central bank of the two countries are far apart, but they can join hands in digital, central bank digital currency. You know, we can deal in digital currency, equivalent digital currency, and can book adjust in New York and London and do miracle by subverting the LCs. These are some of the proposals I am trying to put forward. You know, later on you'll see. You know, these are models how demographic dividend work. It increase labor supply, increase savings. It is increasing human capital, within which you have the social capital, one part. But that is forming the major part of the human capital. And this will increase the working age population. You know, in Spain, the age of retirement is 70. In Bangladesh, the age of retirement is 59. Why it is so? And life expectancy in developed countries are 74, 75. Right? Bangladesh's life expectancy, fortunately, is 72, 73 because of our better pharmaceutical, healthcare, and doctors. Many doctors are staying in Bangladesh. But we have to create that environment in Nigeria. So there is one major area that we have to work. I will come back later. Where we have to work? If you are going to increase your life expectancy by 10 years from 63 to 73, like Bangladesh, you are going to get a 2% to 3% rise in your GDP. And it's going to contribute at least 1,500 USD per capita. You are going to go quickly at $3,000 per capita. It's just by creating this life expectancy. And how you are going to bring about these changes in life expectancy? Demographic dividend is not so easy. It's how you are going to do. The first the definition will give very few words, but you have to do lot of homeworks. Lot of homework. That's why I want to address this issue. You know, increased female labor force participation rate due to small family size, longer life expectancy changes the people's attitudes towards life. And then increase in educational investment, because if parents are earning at 65, 67, the children are gonna, if I work for 70 years or 68 years, what will happen? I will tell my kid, okay, you go research, I am going to go after you, right? That will happen. The children will be the golden children as the fathers are providing, you know. So, and it is, you know, dual contribution to the economy. Now, let me go back to this comparative advantage theory. I will just skip, you know, human capital theory You know, human capital is education, skill, training, health, and then together it produces increased productivity, and then that will spur on economic growth. Not only economic growth, it's also spurring on, you know, the diversification of economy. Technological unemployment is related with, of course, you cannot address the issue of unemployment without improving your technology by innovation. That is, the new kinds of jobs, products, new kinds of products and services. And then demographic dividend often lost by brain drain. These are common, war, pandemic. I said the natural phenomena that actually scales back. You know, Nigeria is a country, Bangladesh is a country, we all suffer from huge brain drain. You know, our people are all sitting in Nigeria. I went to Canada to have my vacation to my younger sister's home in Calgary. And then on the Eid day, I wore a Nigerian outfit and went for prayer and came back, and the next door neighbor just came rushing at me, found out that he is a professor in some university and he's a Nigerian. So he, you know, so the diasporas are living side by side. And some of the Nigerian and Bangladeshi diasporas became friends and invested back in Nigeria in 2017. One Fahim Saleh, a Bangladeshi, you know, IT businessman, started Gokada in Lagos with Mr. Deji, one Nigerian diaspora. He is also IT expert. And their, you know, social app platform, Deji, this ride share app, and it is actually using the foods to be supplied online, and then motorcycle ride share, and also, but it survived for 3 years after the brutal killing of the Bangladeshi guy. His app, ride share app, is very much fantastic. And usually, if it is a win-win share, 50-50, it's a wonderful platform for creating jobs. So many people on motorbikes, so many jobs, so many restaurants are being opened for food and so much diversification of food supply and food chains and value chains. And again, coming back to the supply and value chain, you know, that is so much important. So much important, not only for demographic dividend creation, but also social capital creation, social values creation. You know, garments and textile sector of Bangladesh, I'm just skipping, I'm saying that it is, we still take pride because we are still, you know, second in the world. Even after so much things happen in Dhaka, the government fell because of mass corruption and because of mass rigging in election and successive rigging in 3 successive elections, you know. But the garments came aloft. Why? Because the seeds are not only in Bangladesh. To create a global established business, the supply value chain helped Bangladesh's garments, and we are still after China and exporting about 43 billion USD now, 42 to 43 billion USD to global markets. Now, challenging to economic diversity spurred demographic dividend for a country, you know. So, if the economic diversity is challenged, your demographic dividend is challenged because of all this. You can see that. You know what? Protectionism. Countries apply protectionism. Ignoring supply and value chains, if you ignoring market trends, if we do not follow the market, what market wants. So we have to follow the market wants. It is not a command economy anywhere in the world. It is all about responding to the markets and lack of diversification of bilateral collaboration. Bangladesh and Nigeria, we are not diversifying our bilateral collaboration. Most of the developing 8 countries are you know, I must say, can be accused of not diversifying our bilateral relations. Bangladesh, Nigeria stands with developing 8 partner countries, D8 with other countries like Turkey, Egypt, Malaysia, Indonesia, Uzbekistan, Nigeria, Bangladesh, Iran. And we have huge potential. There is no intra-trade. Okay, so these are the things that will affect. And diaspora remittance from abroad. Why people go abroad? Because they don't have that rightful job. They don't dream. But people shouldn't go abroad. People from China, people are going outside, and after studying they will come back because they have made some kind of infrastructure where they can job. Now, well, still diaspora is contributing today for both Bangladesh and Nigeria. There are two types of remittance. One remittance is coming to our families for household running of the affairs. Unfortunately, that is the big portion of the remittance. And those diaspora who are running big business in Dubai and other places from Bangladesh and Nigeria, they are not sending much remittance, unfortunately. So we have to do something so that these diaspora businesses can flourish also in Bangladesh and Nigeria. And two countries can actually work together in diaspora collaborations. Nigeria-Bangladesh trade is about not much. Well, when I came 4 years back, it was around $5 million. Today it is $25 million. That means there is a growing awareness of some of the Bangladeshi products like garments, shirts, leather products, anything, and something like jute products, and some of the items which are very much popular around the world. And Nigeria's export to Bangladesh is also only $60 million. Together it should not be more than $100 million. But we can create a $1 trillion two-way trade by just connecting our central bank, by just connecting our people. It is people to people social capital that has to be exchanged so that we can skill up each other's economies, we can innovate in each other's economies, and we can build our own products in our own countries or for each of our countries. It's very simple, but we are depending on some developed countries to build our technologies. No developed countries have built our garments, textile, pharmaceutical industries. They will not do. It will be you who will be doing, we who will be doing. At the end of the day, okay, some countries may come, like South Korea has invested, Japan had invested, some countries will do, but some other countries will not do. Japan will be doing, some other countries will be doing. So you have to find out the partner, and then those industries will be skilled up. Well, two-way trade is important because it supports SMEs, it supports heavy industry, and it supports service sector, it supports investment, it supports competitive economies of a scale, it supports business and technological synergies, very important. It supports economic diversification, it supports demographic dividend, it supports elimination of digital divide. So two-way trade is very much important. And these are the demographic dividend stage: pre-transition, early transition, late transition, post-transition. So we are here between pre-transition and early transition. Bangladesh. Okay, if you see these stages, you will see that, one thing I wrote, nexus with internet. It reflects internet from left to right, the more accessible is internet and speed, the more you are better off with demographic dividend, handling your demographic dividend. And the more you are better at creating social capital, social values, social norms, social trends for business and industries. Because without creating social capital, social norms, social values, social trends, you won't understand what is the relationship between business and technology and relationship between technology and business. And it is important to curtail your businesses according to the needs of the market and supply and value chain, according to that, and create that technology. And then those technology will work and then gradually respond to the market and the value chain, and then will adjust its business, shape of the business, diversify. Business will be diversified, then they will change and innovate again your technology. So business and technology has to be synergized. That is the most important message. And in this field, same countries, sameness of people can do best. That's why I am here. Maybe I am trying to sell the case of Bangladesh and Nigeria. We all love jollof rice. If we cook our food, you will see you will love it. And maybe you love music, we love music. And I haven't brought that music. A Nigerian famous singer sang in a Bangladeshi song for 1.5 minutes in a fusion song, and that became the highest YouTube hit. Unbelievable. About 40 million hit that to see it. So, in my opinion, music, movie, food, dress, we have a oneness. We have a oneness. So that's what drives me. Now what we can do, our youngsters can do, affiliate marketing, drop sharing, podcasting, online training, social media marketing, app development, e-commerce store. Already you are with Facebook, there is a social media marketplace, right? People are selling, already it is there. People have made a huge ground in Nigeria and Bangladesh, of course. I just want to share that in Konga in Nigeria, the e-commerce platform, Bangladeshi experts are also collaborating there, from sitting from Dhaka to share it, travel fixing and app making and app updating. And to do that, they have taken a 15% share only. Just sitting in Bangladesh, they are maintaining the app and they have a 15% share in Konga. I just been reported. So we are there. We are doing some collaborations. I am also involved in trying to make health sector collaborate through the social apps, which can make huge difference in terms of life expectancy scaling up. Influencer, like say, diplomats are trying to influence you, isn't it? What I am trying to do, trying to influence you. So a diplomat's role are not going to office, write a note verbal to the foreign ministry and G2G. G2G is dead, remember. G2G is dead. We have to go P2P, public to public, B2B. That's what I'm saying. E-commerce store, influencer, consultant, translation, become an online fitness expert. Skill up or transfer your knowledge, anything. A blogger, you can be a freelancer, write e-book, bookkeeping, business coaching, tutoring, like say you have many diaspora living abroad, they are forgetting your own language, say Hausa, Yoruba or major languages. So you create an online platform and get those children, some of the parents who are staying abroad, they can pay and your teachers will teach them Hausa, Yoruba, and by learning your expat children, your language, they will never forget Nigeria. We are doing the same for our Bangladeshi children, who are living abroad and studying in English medium, but the parents want them to learn Bangla. So many business ideas can be generated by using ICT and frontier technologies and internet. And also, if you are at Internet of Things, doing things using cloud computing, using big data, using robotics, using augmented and virtual reality, using using fintechs and apps, then you can do miracle. You can do a huge lot of change, and you can increase very quickly the job opportunities, and you can scale up your GDP, I mean the growth, economic growth. The politicians think only the certain indicators, right? You can help them ease their pressure, you know. They will see that, okay, one day they will see that, okay, we got this growth, but these are actually growth by your youth. You know, we have to celebrate our youth. Is the private sector-led growth had been the mainstay in Bangladesh's economy. We didn't have any oil, we didn't have any very insignificant gas. Whole country doesn't have it. We have to import it. We still need huge gas. We want Nigeria's help. We want to bring more gas, LNG, CNG. Well, we have the CNG technology, you have the gas. See, so much so that we need to get into it, you know. And artificial intelligence, regenerative artificial intelligence, and the relation between artificial intelligence and regenerative artificial intelligence is that artificial intelligence learns by itself and it regenerates its artificial intelligence and learns by itself from the system that you are running in the server, that is Internet of Things, of doing so many things. Like your university is saying, so we have to resort to some kind of collaborations. Yes, we said I gave a word and we'll share the Dhaka's response with you in next 1 week. I'm giving a word. I have it, in fact, but I am making some my own recommendations and preparing the text, and I will send in 1 week time. We want to see Bangladesh and Nigeria, our two premier national open universities in our two geographical domain, to collaborate and deepen, you know. Because you know why it should be a hot cake? Because many of you want to aspire to have a foreign university degrees. So it is a wonder that to get to know in another environment. You are in Nigeria, studying in Bangladesh. There are many Bangladeshi, not many Bangladeshi students in Nigeria, but there are a lot of Nigerian students who have graduated, post-graduated, did PhDs from Bangladesh universities, and they are all doing very good in businesses and even universities, and even they have traveled out. And there are many Bangladeshi students studied here, and those who studied here, they never went back to Bangladesh. They are here for 40 years, 30 years, and working with you. So these are, so I will end up, you know, this is a very much basic simplistic model how you operate a administrator. You know, there are A, B, C. I will not go into it. It is actually they run, control, you know, data transfer, control in blue, business. You know, these are actually different models for say you are running a hospital online system in Port Harcourt, sitting in Abuja. You don't need to live in Port Harcourt. You are living in Port Harcourt, running, say, Nizamiya Hospital server. You have seen their server. Somebody has to maintain it. Somebody has to, but he don't need to come to Abuja. He can stay in even Calgary, or he can stay in Dhaka and run it. In Bangladesh, our people are doing this kind of, young people are doing this kind of data entry and this kind of jobs, and they are getting millions. You know, the country is getting $1.3 billion last year from the software ICT businesses as remittance, because they are just sitting inside Dhaka, inside Bangladesh and doing it. So we thought that we would like to collaborate with Nigeria, and I think we will need to talk at very higher level. Now these are the areas where Bangladesh and Nigeria can work, like startup collaborations, virtual study tour platform, online music composer live 24 hours, central bank digital currency procurement and swap. Because of the currency rating by the Moody's, Standard & Poor, LC opening has been more critical for impacting trade between Bangladesh and Nigeria. The central bank can, two central bank can take measure and can erase it. Very simple. But they had to restore the connectivity. Virtual tourism platform. Already in Nigeria it is happening. Somebody came to me and showing that people are created virtual tour and they will not need to go, but they will virtually tour in different parts of Nigeria sitting in Abuja. So virtual tourism platform, e-commerce interface, business live 24 hours, open and distance learning, ODL, that is National Open University of Nigeria and Bangladesh Open University. Business live 24 hours, very interesting. These are all business models I am telling to people. You know, there are a lot of consultants giving you business models, right? So you loop all the consultants, business consultants in your system and hook the companies to contact you online. And then you pay the financial until different fees and get the best financial feasibility study and then decide whether you do business or not. But if you don't do business, then you are earning actually some fund, incentive from the works your consultants did it. So that there will be huge amount of business consultants created. They are looped together. They are all earning for their work. So all these business ideas, say for example, business live 24 hours can create a huge amount of jobs for the young entrepreneurs, and that will spark growth by creating lot of businesses. Because many people who are with money from the bank, they need this proper feasible study to get the loan. But those who are making this feasible study, financial feasible study, they cannot actually get the bank loan because they don't have the collateral, they don't have the ability, they have the brain. So let them be awarded for their brain, business concept. You know, so it is bringing, you know, so, and renewable engineering and energy products and solutions. You have solid state minerals. We have some companies who are now into solar panels, now into LED bulbs and all these things they are making, fabricating. But these companies from Bangladesh should come. I am telling them to come and make some joint ventures with the owners of the miners. They can have their share because they are giving the raw materials. So, you know, businesses are formed not only by money. You can get a 10%, 15%, even 20% stake by having your business concept. You don't have any capital, but you are a stakeholder of 20%. Steve Jobs didn't have money, remember? He had the brain. That's why today iPhone is iPhone, and from iPhone others learned and they revolutionized the, you know, cell phone technologies. And they got shareholders. Satya Nadella is not a businessman, he is an employee, CEO of Microsoft. But he is having a shareholder of the Microsoft and becoming a CEO, just because he is sitting with the brain and giving you the ideas. So it is so important. ETP exchanges, CNG run vehicle plants, solar power, irrigation and biofuel based homes. That is very much possible. You have so much livestock. You don't waste those cow dung. You can create biofuel-based homes at rural areas. Right? We have those things. You know, low-cost torch smartphone, digital incubation laboratories between educational institutions for software development, medical life 24 hours, online microcredit and schemes, all can be possible. Microcredit, you know, Bangladesh is pioneered by Professor Muhammad Yunus, and his model is very much, even in developed countries they are running. Now, Nigeria is very much into not microcredit, this called microfinance. And microfinance banking is gradually getting ground here. So it has, we can be there with collaborations with Nigeria. As I said, you know, our diaspora living abroad can join hands to create university tie-ups, football collaboration tie-ups, cricket collaboration tie-ups. We are very good in cricket. Nigeria is very good in football at top level. Bangladesh plays cricket at 7th or 8th currently standing in the world. And Nigeria is also inside first 20 countries, maybe 16, 17, or you know, the great super eagles. So we need to collaborate. Currently there are about close to 56 Nigerian footballers are playing in Bangladesh. 56 over last 3-4 years. And they are, some of them have married even Bangladeshi women, and they have settled. One of them have married and taken Bangladeshi passport to play in Bangladesh with Bangladesh, you know. So, you know, these are stories, you know, cultural exchanges, culinary exchange and symposium, fusion music, you know, promote supply and value chains with bilateral pivot for a product, service, business or technology. You know, Bangladesh's supply and value chain can be transferred here. The supply and value chain we created for pharmaceuticals, healthcare, created for garments and textile. We have created wonderful supply value chain of leather industries like shoes, belts, ladies' bags, 100% soft skin leather material, nicely processed in tannery. And our technologies are from mostly South Korea and Italy and Japan. To compete with China and India and other countries, we invested over billions and billions after last 2-3 decades in garments technology, pharmaceuticals, healthcare, leather technology, jute. Even Bangladesh's tea plantation, we have industries, and we are self-sufficient in tea. Bangladeshi brands are reigning in, but Nigeria can be a great country for tea production. Already it is a coffee production center, and great coffees are here. I know the soil is like gold. And now talking about diplomacy a little bit, I will end up by saying, that, well, what does diplomacy does? What is foreign policy? Foreign policy should actually take care of the interest of its citizen. There is no other interest but the interest of my people, of my country. And then that is the prima facie of the foreign policy. And that's what diplomats do. Now, as a diplomat, I am coming here in Nigeria. We have an embassy here from 2016 November. And you don't have embassies though, but our role is to find the suitable suggestions, solutions, and opportunities so that it is mutually beneficial to our and your national interest. That is, to the mutual benefit of our people. These terms are forgotten when diplomacy is done and when we talk. Mutual benefit, many people hardly don't tell now these days. But countries like us, we are always telling it, like developing world. So under the Global South, Bangladesh and Nigeria collaborate, and our foreign policy, our diplomacy are pro-people, your one is pro-people. And then it has to generate jobs. So the kind of diplomacy that we should do, that we should generate, why I use the social capital? Because what I have been doing here right now for a couple of few minutes, I'm trying to create that social capital, that coherence of values in the society, so that it rather synergize our action, synergize our thoughts before the action comes. And then you really exactly know, and I also say that you all are diplomats here. I am not only the only diplomats. Well, you know, in any setup, when you will find that your communication in one way or other connecting some foreigners, that means you are a diplomat. So you are walking on the street, you are accompanying a French national, helping him to show some place. So you are talking something. That means you think yourself that you are a diplomat. Because what is diplomacy? Representing your country. When Mr. Emma and Mr. Ugo is talking together inside our embassy or in the road, they are not representing any country, right? Say, or Mr. X, Mr. Y from Nigeria walking and talking. They are only not diplomat. But when your action is with any foreigner in any setup, or you will think that it might travel to a foreigner, then you are a diplomat. This is the basic. That means then you have a social value. You have a social responsibility. That means you have to create a social capital. And then you never know, that meeting can generate millions of dollars of investment into your country. You can also bring a foreigner. Everybody can bring a foreigner into your country as a tourist, as a, these are something like diplomacy. So with this, actually, I just try to break the taboo that the diplomats working in an embassy are only diplomats. No. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, the High Commissioner of the People's Republic of Bangladesh to Nigeria, Mr. Masudur Rahman. At this juncture, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite Professor Kamal Bello, the moderator, to take charge of proceedings from this end to moderate the discussion session. But before he starts moderating the discussion session, he will bring us up to speed as to what the shape and complexion of the discussion session will be like. Professor Kamal Bello, please.
Your Excellency, the High Commissioner of the People's Republic of Bangladesh. You know, that sounds a lot. When you hear the People's Republic, it means comradeship. It means oneness. It means commitment. It means patriotism. Because I know some countries are still fighting that they don't have hand in the writing of their constitution. But Bangladesh put it, the People's Republic, to show that the people wrote the constitution. And it has shown recently by the revolution, the change of government they did. Because they brought up a comrade. And the comrade has tried to bring people from poverty in millions with microfinance bank. The other time we had a discussion on that here. So thank you very much, the Excellency, the High Commissioner. There's a little break in the, I was supposed to, as moderator, to speak before the High Commissioner spoke, but there was a little mix-up so that I can introduce the topic. Because from the topic, it's a dialogue. Dialogue means discussion between two more people. It's just dialogue. It's not monologue. And as we have the High Commissioner, we have our own diplomats in the Political Science Department, a leader in international relations, and a senior lecturer in international politics, who will serve as diplomats today. Yes, so that they will give their own perspective. You are all welcome to the dialogue. We are not the organizer at the Faculty of Social Sciences. We are just being commandeered to participate. We are only participants. So that I want to correct some impression that people are thinking that we are, and people are coming to me for a lot of questions. And thank God the Bangladesh had saved me from one. That's refreshment. So the Bangladesh said there's refreshment for everyone that comes here today. So please don't go until it ends. Thank you once again, the High Commissioner. What I discover, or what I can deduce from what he said, initially we had time for him, 20 minutes, but he spent almost 1 hour, 60 minutes, because we did not tell him beforehand. And we cannot change the poll when the ball is on or the game is on. That's why we kept him to let him go. So thank you. What I did is from what he has said. Apart from coming from the People's Republic of Bangladesh, is that there's need for cooperation between developing countries that the two of us belong to. Bangladesh is developing. Nigeria is still developing country. That for us to enjoy relationship, you go with your mates, colleagues. So that's main thing I deduced from what he said. That they have a lot of opportunity in AI, in pharmaceutical, in everything, and so on and so forth, in agri, and so on, in education. And we have realized it too, developing countries. Because we realize the costs of dealing with the developed countries is higher. You know, before it is Germany, it is the British that do our roads. We have turned to the Chinese because their cost is a bit lower. And that's what the High Commissioner is telling us. That's better we relate with ourselves as growing or developing countries than to be relating with developed countries. Once again, thank you for being a diplomat. Throughout his speech, I was watching what he was saying. He's saying it with care. He's not saying it like a radical or a rascal or somebody looking for vote. And he said it, that diplomacy is for you, it's invisible. For you to make somebody to believe in what you are saying without shouting on him. And that's what diplomats are known for. Thank you once again. So, MC, so from this now we call the next speaker. Please, those of us who have questions, comments, there's a section. Please be jotting down. After the discussions, will be chance to talk, either to ask questions or to make comments. So the next speaker is Dr. Ebele Udoji. He's a reader in international relations, pure international relations. So today we want to hear from her, to drink from her knowledge of wisdom, and to prove that every international relation is a diplomat. Thank you.
The Vice Chancellor, National Open University of Nigeria, Professor Olufemi Peters, ably represented by the DVC admin, Professor Isaac Boswat, the High Commissioner of the People's Republic of Bangladesh and his entourage, deans and directors here present, professors here present, all staff of National Open University of Nigeria, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Thank you very much. The topic before us today is diplomacy as a social capital for attaining demographic dividend, case for Bangladesh and Nigeria. We have had a definition from the High Commissioner, but I'll also give some definitions. What is diplomacy? There are many definitions of diplomacy, but the one we are using today for this particular presentation is from Ronald Peterson Batson. What is diplomacy? Diplomacy is the main instrument of foreign policy, which represents the broader goals and the strategies that guide a nation or state's interactions with the rest of the world. Next slide. Really don't know. There's one before this. Sorry, I don't know how to maneuver this. But what is social capital? Social capital is the product of human interactions and relationships which occur between individuals and social networks. Therefore, it can be summarized as the shared links, understandings, and values that allow individuals and groups to trust each other and therefore to work with each other in society. Now, the concept of demographic dividend. What is demographic dividend? A demographic dividend refers to the economic growth potential that arises from changes in a country's age structure, particularly when the working age population, which is 15 to 64 years old, becomes larger than the dependent population, that's children and the elderly. This can lead to increased productivity, savings, and investment. However, it's not automatic. This demographic dividend is not automatic. It requires the right policies, and crucially, it requires effective diplomacy to harness this potential. Now, let's look at a little history of Nigeria-Bangladesh relations. Bangladesh and Nigeria established diplomatic relations in the mid-70s. Bilateral relations have been growing steadily since then. Nigeria accorded recognition to Bangladesh on 27 February 1974. At this time, relationship did not assume economic significance, as bilateral trade and economic engagements were not significant. The population of the two countries, Nigeria has, as at 2024, an estimated population of over 232 million. And that of Bangladesh is estimated at over 173 people. Both countries were colonized. Nigeria was colonized by Britain, and we got our independence 1960. Bangladesh was colonized and by British India. At the time Pakistan was pulling out, he pulled out with Bangladesh. But then Bangladesh fought for its own independence and got it in 1971. Now, political relations. Bangladesh opened its resident diplomatic mission in Nigeria in 1977, but it was closed after a while in the same year. Nigeria also opened its resident mission in Dhaka in 2000, but shortly it was closed down. Currently, Nigerian High Commission in New Delhi, India, is concurrently accredited to Bangladesh. Bangladesh High Commission in Morocco was concurrently accredited to Nigeria for a while, but later, Bangladesh High Commission in Nairobi, Kenya, was concurrently accredited to Nigeria till opening the mission in Abuja. Bangladesh reopened its High Commission in Nigeria on the 26th November 2016. And since then, Bangladesh has been asking Nigeria to also reopen their mission in Bangladesh. It has not happened. I don't think it has happened yet. So Nigeria and Bangladeshi flags, you can see the two flags of the two countries. That's the side of the Bangladesh and that's the one of Nigeria. Now, economic relations. Bangladesh and Nigeria have expressed mutual interest to expand bilateral trade and investment. Bangladesh pharmaceuticals, knitwear, cement, jute and jute goods, ceramics, ocean-going vessels, light engineering, leather and plastic goods have been identified as products with huge potential in the Nigerian market. Nigeria urged Bangladesh businessmen to invest in its agriculture, food processing, pharmaceuticals, medical equipment, ICT, and education. Trade between the two countries stood at $14 million in 2012. In 2014, Bangladesh Tariff Commission prepared a feasibility study for the benefits of signing new free preferential trade agreements with African states, and they recommended Nigeria and Mali as countries for signing that are good for signing such agreements. That's the Nigerian Naira and the Bangladeshi Taka. On international trade, over the past 6 years, the export of Nigeria to Bangladesh have increased at an annualized rate of 346% from $12.3 thousand in 2016 to $96.4 million in 2022. The main products exported from Nigeria to Bangladesh were petroleum and gas, standing at $94.6 million, raw cotton standing at $1.77 million, and spices standing at $47.8 thousand. The main products exported from Bangladesh were raw plastic sheeting, packing bags, and raw tobacco. All this shows that the two countries have been having two-way businesses, two-way moving. They have been trading together internationally. They have economic relations, which is a good one. Now, in agriculture, the potential of the agricultural sector in Nigeria is huge. The country has a substantial base to build on. Its natural assets, land, which is about 39.6 million hectares of arable land, of which 60% is under cultivation. Climate, rainfall, east coastal areas, its history as an agrarian economy. Now, Nigeria is the largest producer of cassava in the whole world. The largest producer of cassava. Nigeria also still exports granules to Pakistan, to Turkey, Iraq, Indonesia, and the UK. Currently, Nigeria is the largest producer of rice in Africa. So agriculture is still moving up in Nigeria. We are getting where we were before. We are getting there again. So collaboration in international, digital agriculture and agribusiness is possible between Nigeria and Bangladesh. Now you can see a picture of our former Minister of Agriculture, Adesina Akinwumi, who introduced a kind of revolution in the agricultural industry. And you can see the one on the side, that's a rice field in Kebbi, State. And because of what he did, that's why we have Nigeria being the largest producer of rice. It's not easy. So people like him should always be commended. Now look at the old famous groundnut pyramids, cocoa farms of Nigeria. Nigeria is still into those businesses. Some of us may not know, but we are still into those businesses, and they may not be as large as they were, but they are moving up now. Under entrepreneurship and innovation, entrepreneurship can unleash the economic potential of young people and be a source of new jobs and growth, while improving their economic independence. Young people can no longer expect to get jobs. When you graduate, you don't really get a job. So you have to be innovative. You have to be creative to create a business that you can do. And Your Excellency, the High Commissioner of Bangladesh, People's Republic of Bangladesh, you have already visited our the Minister of Youth. And I quote what he said to you when you went there. For us in the ministry, we are committed to embracing any initiative that enhances the potential of Nigerian youth. The future lies in their hands, and we will do everything possible to transform their lives for a better tomorrow. Youth who are not trained can become a burden to society, and we are determined to prevent such an outcome. A well-empowered youth population is crucial for Nigeria's progress. That's the Minister of Youth Development. To him, when he went to visit. So he further noted that the ministry sees significant value in leveraging the expertise of Bangladesh to achieve this vision for youth empowerment and economic development. Now, in the military, in defense cooperation, Nigerian military officers have been attending senior professional courses in the Defense Services Command and Staff College, National Defense College, and other defense training institutions in Bangladesh in big numbers and in performing well over the past years. So in one particular estimate, 289 Nigerian defense officers were trained in Bangladesh, which makes it a visible activity in bilateral relations. So, but the number of Bangladeshi participants attending courses in Nigeria is insignificant. Once in a year, they will send one officer to come. So, does that mean that Nigeria does not have anything to offer in the military? Five of them this year. Okay. So the number is increasing. Now it's no longer one, it's increasing. That's a viable Nigerian military there. You can see them. They are very well kitted out and they are doing well. So we have something to offer to Bangladesh in that area. On international and regional security, peacekeeping particularly, the role of Nigeria in peacekeeping in the region is significant. While Bangladesh also enjoys high reputation for being one of the largest contributors under UN peacekeeping missions and operations worldwide, including in Africa. We accept that. But then Nigeria also spearheaded the formation of ECOMOG, if you remember, ECOMOG, and played a major role in restoration of peace and stability in Liberia, in Sierra Leone, among others. And while they were doing that, over 70% of the ECOMOG commandants were drawn from Nigerian troops. That's the peacekeeping forces. This is how they are kitted out when they are going on such missions. The one of Nigerian peacekeeping forces, they have been all over the world. Now, art, culture, and tourism. Nigeria has crafts such as bronze casting, wood carving, leather work, pottery, and weaving, and also modern painting. We have a lot in there. During 30 December 2024 alone, Lagos welcomed over 1.2 million visitors during December, generating an estimated $75 million in tourism revenue. So this 30 December is something that came up in recent years. Tourists troop into Lagos during December period. They troop in and they want to just have fun, especially young Nigerians in the diaspora. They want to experience Nigeria. When they come, they don't go to their villages, so they stop in Lagos and they come with their friends who are not Nigerians. And it's a good one because it generates a lot of capital in Lagos State and has the potential to do so also in other state capitals in Nigeria. By day, you see these stories. They will visit the Nike Art Gallery. They will be eating suya on the street of Lagos. They eat jollof rice. They enjoy the culture. By night, they dance under the stars at an Afrobeat concert featuring Wizkid and Tiwa Savage. You know, generally they have fun. And because they are coming in with the foreign currency, when they change dollar, plenty naira. So they are able to book into hotels, you know, very comfortable hotels. They are comfortable when they come. So Lagos is a good destination for tourism in Nigeria now. Then there's Nigerian culture. We have the Eyo Festival. We have the Arugungu Festival. We have other New Year festivals. We are inviting Bangladesh to visit Nigeria and explore the great potential in Nigeria tourism industry. That's 30 December. Is 30, D-E-T-T-Y, 30 December Carnival posters. If you go to Lagos, you will see them in December. Then these are the famous Calabar Cultural Carnival. And these are some of the carnivals they have in Lagos during December period. The young people, they create all sorts of avenues to enjoy themselves. Now, let me talk about the Nigerian diaspora. The Nigerian community living outside of Nigeria, which is called the diaspora, is one of the largest in the whole world. The International Organization for Migration puts the population of Nigerians at Nigerian diaspora at about 7 million as at last year, 2024. I mean 17 million. 17 million. That's a lot. So, Your Excellency, the High Commissioner of Bangladesh, you have described Nigerians, the Nigerian diaspora, as responsible, as resilient, and resourceful. That's a very good one for Nigeria. And that they have an outstanding performance of all over the world in the areas of medicine, in the area of technology, innovation, trade, and commerce. We agree with all that. Bangladesh was, you told us that Bangladesh was able to raise over 23 billion US dollars as annual remittances from its estimated 5 million diasporans all over the world. So if Bangladesh is able to generate 23 billion US dollars from only 5 million diasporans, can you imagine what Nigeria will be able to generate with 17 million diasporans? Let me show you some faces of our diasporans. See, you see these people, the three of them were mentioned by Forbes as among the 50 billionaires in US dollars. 50 billionaires, these are the three of them. Oememo Abe, Tope Awotona, and Adebayo Ogunleshe. Billionaires in dollars, and they are living outside of Nigeria. They are diasporans. This money finds its way back to Nigeria, one way or the other. Whether, it finds its way back. These are some of Nigerian diasporans. This is a Nigerian-born British boxer, Anthony Joshua, lives in Britain but has massive money, plenty money, and it comes back to Nigeria, one way or the other. This is our own person, Okonjo Iweala. You know who is the DG of WTO. This is just small of Nigerian diasporans. Now, in entertainment industry, sports, the High Commissioner, sir, Your Excellency, we would like to take our female team, the Super Falcons. We want you to adopt them so that they can teach Bangladeshi women how to play soccer. How to play soccer. Because they are very good. They are number one in Africa. Our Super Eagles, they are no longer as they used to be. But the Super Falcons, number one in Africa. So we can teach Bangladeshi. Then we can take their cricket team. The Bangladeshi cricket team is fantastic. They rank 9th all over the world. So you can bring your cricket team to teach Nigeria. That's all cooperation. Then we want to sell Nollywood to you. Nollywood has been generating, in fact, it is estimated by 2025, Nollywood would have grossed 46.6 billion US dollars. That means every year they contribute to the development of the economy. In fact, Nollywood is now the second largest film industry in the whole world. Second largest after Bollywood. After Bollywood. The Hollywood that we used to, they all named themselves after Hollywood, Bollywood, Nollywood. The Nollywood has overtaken Hollywood. Now, Bollywood is number one, but Nollywood volumes, they may not be cashing out because of piracy, but as for film production, they are number 2 all over the world. So we sell our also musicians, Davido, Wizkid. These people are making money. They are bringing it back to Nigeria for our development. You can cash into that as well. I remember when that's our team. That's our team. You can take our renowned coaches to coach your teams. This one was just announced, I think this January. A Grammy Award winner, a Nigerian, Thames, a Grammy Award winner, all the way in America. You can see this one is number 1.
One more minute, please.
Yes, Rahman. When he was invited to sing at the wedding of the richest man's son in India, he was paid $3 million. That's a lot of money. So Nigerians are doing well in film and in music. Thank you so much, sir, for coming to us today. We enjoyed your talk. And in conclusion, I would like to say that, indeed, using diplomacy as a social capital to attain demographic dividend is not automatic. It entails hard work. As developing countries, both Bangladesh and Nigeria, we need each other. We need to work hard. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ebele Udoji, a reader in international relations in the Department of Public Administration, Department of Political Science of National Open University of Nigeria. One thing I personally enjoy in the presentation is that she gave us a kind of feminist perspective. Yes, because, you know, we have been accused in the social sciences that the society is patriarchal, dominated by men. But we have to prove it. He has proved to us today that this society is no more dominated by men. Women, too, are also playing their roles. Thank you very much. And being an international relations expert, he has been able to sell Nigeria to us, locally and internationally. And the High Commission to us, I saw him while he was looking. Anytime she speaks and the point attracted his attention, he will look at it. So there are a lot of areas of collaboration and cooperation between Nigeria and the Bangladesh. That's the bottom line of what she has presented to us. So we want to take quickly the next presenter, who is a juggernaut in the area of international politics, not international relations, but international politics. Is the current head of department of political science in the Faculty of Social Sciences, National Open University of Nigeria. Is Dr. Matthew Ogute. You are welcome, sir.
Standing on the existing protocol, I wish to acknowledge the order of protocol. Okay, standing on the existing protocol, I wish to acknowledge the order in which it was established previously, and for the purpose of time, I take the liberty of following the existing protocol and to warmly appreciate the presence of everyone in this afternoon's function. My presentation is another dimension to the two earlier perspectives presented by both the High Commissioner as well as my colleague, Dr. Udoji. For the purpose of this presentation, the order in which and the structure in which it will be presented is as listed on this slide. The learning objectives for this presentation will represent my structure for this presentation. One is, what is diplomacy as defined? What is social capital? What constitutes demographic dividend? Commonalities on Nigeria and Bangladesh. Because of the key word, the key adjective used in crafting this function, which is dialogue, it therefore requires a comparative analysis approach. It will be vital for us to dissect the matter by looking at the commonalities between both countries, and that implies a comparative analysis presentation. That is as it affects the fourth point on the slide. The fifth one is the status of diplomatic relations between Nigeria and Bangladesh. And the sixth, lessons to be learned from Nigeria on the basis of the relationship that had existed between Bangladesh and Nigeria. And then my conclusion. Diplomacy has been defined very aptly by both the High Commissioner and my colleague. But what is key from the slide that you can see is that it's an efficient tool for safeguarding national and other interests. It's also able to promote political, economic, and other relations, and then it's also vital for maintaining peaceful relationships. So these three elements are very important in any definition of diplomacy. What is social capital? That has also been previously presented and defined. For the purpose of time, I will not dwell too much on it. But the third point on my slide is very key in understanding social capital. Social capital is measurable in terms of impact on groups and individuals. It is the only way by which you can define and see whether it's able to make an impact on a system. You have to measure it. What are the indices? And then what is the outcome? And so demographic dividends also it's been defined by both the High Commissioner and my colleague. So I will not dwell too much on that. But is the key variable in understanding demographic dividends has to do with the second point on the slide. There is a nexus between a decline in fertility and mortality rate. You're able to control your population, and then there is also the quality of life in the system is such that there is a long lifespan. If you have that, then generally you will be able to manage all the economic plans that the country has. And also, in this fourth slide, another very important aspect of the demographic dividends as it affects both Bangladesh and Nigeria is the third point on my slide. There is a common denominator in the demographics between Nigeria and Bangladesh, which is to the effect that there is extreme poverty affecting a greater percentage of their populations. And this extreme poverty is the incentive for both governments to try to turn around the trajectory so that they can improve the quality of life of their populations. Then, another thing about demographic dividend is that if it is not managed very well, demographic dividend can easily devolve into a demographic time bomb. If a society fails to create opportunities for its teeming youth population. And for Nigeria now, as at the second quarter in the year 2020, the youth unemployment rate came at 35%. And therefore, it means that Nigeria is having increasingly a very high number of restive youths that are unemployed, and this is not sustainable because it can create challenges for national security. The British economist Robert Malthus made the prediction that unconstrained population growth will spell doom for societies as agricultural output cannot match it. What he's saying in simple language is that if you have too many mouths to feed in a country and your food production capacity is extremely low and you are not able to take care of every other person, then you will not have a productive population. And when you don't have a productive population, it opens the window for an upsurge in crime. And so that is the analysis made by the economist Robert Malthus. And for us, we can see what is happening in Nigeria. Too many mouths, and the system is not able to take care of them. Bangladesh has achieved food security despite its high population density, lack of arable land, and frequent natural disasters, as agriculture accounted for 90% of the reduction in poverty between 2005 and 2010. And the second point on the slide now is saying that an emphasis on agriculture, less dependence on oil, and sound macroeconomic policies can also be useful for Nigeria because it will help us effectively to capitalize on low labor costs like Bangladesh to improve democratic dividend. Yes, the commonalities between Bangladesh and Nigeria, that is the other section that were there as part of the learning objectives in my initial opening remarks. Nigeria, with a GDP of 397.3 billion, ranked 32nd largest economy in the world, while Bangladesh ranked 44th with 274 billion, is ranked 44th. So what it in effect is saying is that both of them are very large economies. The second point on the slide is that Bangladesh is a country in Southeast Asia. It is the 8th most populous country in the world with a population exceeding 170 million. For the purpose of a public enlightenment like this, and it's very, very important that we don't come with the basic assumption that everybody knows where Bangladesh is or what the country is all about. So I'd like to interject at this point to say a little bit about the profile of Bangladesh. Bangladesh is a country in Southeast Asia. It has been part of the Indian subcontinent. India was colonized by the British in 1858. And for almost 90 years, Bangladesh has been part of what they call the British Raj. And in 1947, India got its independence from British rule. And the continent was partitioned into two, India on one side and Pakistan on the other side. And Bangladesh, it was not known as Bangladesh then, that part of Bangladesh that was created along with Pakistan, which is the province of Bengal, was called East Pakistan in 1955. And by 1971, there was a war of liberation because of a high level of nationalism among the Bengali people. That's the main ethnic group in Bangladesh. And then in a short span of 9 or 8 months, they were able to get their independence from Pakistan. And they became known as the People's Republic of Bangladesh in 1971. It is bounded on the southeast by a country called Myanmar. And it is bounded on the north and the west by India. And it is located in Southeast Asia. So it's important that you know a little bit of this, South Asia. South Asia, yes. So it's important that you know a little bit about the partner that we have in this dialogue so that we don't have the assumption that everybody knows everything about Bangladesh. For Nigeria, you all know, we are all in it. It's a country in West Africa with a projected population of over 200 million. What are the commonalities between Bangladesh and Nigeria? One is that Nigeria and Bangladesh are both developing countries. 2, both are former British colonies. 3, both countries are among the most highly populated nations in the world, faced by extreme poverty. 4, they are both faced by the challenges of jobs creation, skills development, and empowerment for their huge populations. And the 5th point is that both countries have a shared history of prolonged political instability post-independence. And the 6th point is that Bangladesh has recorded significant economic progress around industrialization, textile manufacturing, growth, poverty reduction, and competitiveness, while Nigeria has not. And so this, particularly for the purpose of a comparative analysis approach, gives you a fairly good idea of both countries that are involved in this dialogue share some similarities. That is the key point to take away from this slide. And that the similarities should be a building ground for improving relationships and also be able to learn from each other. And the status of the diplomatic relations between both countries, we all know, as said by my colleague previously, the economic collaboration is being facilitated between numerous trade missions and business forums, have led to increased investment and trade between both countries. And also there is increased diplomatic engagements, trade agreements, and cultural programs. And this increase in diplomatic engagements, a bit of it is what we are seeing here today, the dialogue taking place in Noun that is being pushed and projected by the High Commissioner, Mr. Masudur Rahman. I must say that for the purpose of this, if you've gone into the literature and you know what is trending about the activities of the High Commission in Nigeria, you must credit the current ambassador for putting the advocacy about Bangladesh and Nigeria into a very high drive. He's responsible for the high level in which it is now. Please put your hands together for him. And so the cultural exchange, economic collaboration, and youth empowerment, business expansion has also improved between both partners. Bangladeshi scholarships, vocational training, and mentorship programs to support the educational and professional aspirations of youths that is embedded in their policy and is being used extensively in the country to improve the access to natural resources for youths, should be extended to Nigeria, because a lot of other countries have, as part of the youth and educational exchange programs between Nigeria and them, have been able to offer that. Now that we have a dialogue, we'll use this opportunity to ask the High Commissioner that thing that you are doing in your country and that is sweet in the mouth of your people, please extend some of it here. It will help improve the dialogue. And then the status, my colleague has already said it, that there are various training engagements between the Nigeria and the Bangladeshi military. She gave the figures. And so, the Bangladesh and Nigeria, that is the second point on the slide, are strong military contributors to United Nations peacekeeping operations. Yes, this is also part of the similarities. The mutual training of officers in the National Defense College in Nigeria and the Bangladesh Defense Chief of Staff College. It's also part of the similarities. Then we also have, as the last point on this slide, both militaries have joint security cooperation with Nigeria, aiding Nigeria against anti-terrorism and counter-insurgency operations. Lessons to be learned for Nigeria from the Bangladeshi experience. Remember, this is a dialogue. And part of the thing about a dialogue is that you should be honest enough to be willing to learn from a partner what you don't have. And so that you can pick on that and then build it into your system with a view to improving the way you are doing things. And so, for me, from the perspective of this dialogue and from the literature that I have seen, there are certain lessons that are very, very important from the experience of the Bangladeshi that will be very helpful in improving the processes in Nigeria. Number one, from the slide, Nigeria should emulate the Bangladeshi model of curtailing population explosion as a poverty reduction strategy. Nigeria has not been able to do that. Bangladesh, as a consistent national macroeconomic policy, had been able to significantly reduce its fertility rate. But in this country, population is used for political purposes. And so there is a lethargy, and which is not good for our national system, about the need to control population growth. And so there is uncontrolled birth in the country that is going on. And no matter what kind of projection we have, to be able to put in place planning that will be effective in ensuring productivity and driving the country forward, in the face of uncontrolled population growth, we will not get there. And so the Bangladeshis have been able to do that. We should also do that. Then diversification into agriculture as a state policy helped Bangladesh reduce poverty by 90%. Agriculture is not something we are taking serious in this country. We can go back to that and see that it's going to be a useful strategy in helping us to reduce poverty. The third point on the slide, focus on indigenous industrialization and textile manufacturing by Bangladesh had lessened their external dependence and helped their economy. We can take that also, go back to indigenous industrialization so that it can open the window for indigenous economic growth for Nigeria. We can learn that from our Bangladeshi partners. Number four, the Bangladesh microeconomic policies that are based on the microfinancing models have helped to reduce poverty. That is something for us to learn. Also, the fifth and the last point on the slide is talking about the fact that the basis of dialogue and for collaboration and cooperation should not be restricted only to the economic realm. We should also look at Nigeria's security challenges. Is there a way of improving Nigeria's security architecture? And I say yes. On the basis of the experience of the Bangladesh Defense Forces, there is a country called Nepal, which is not too far away. It's a neighboring country to Bangladesh. At a certain point, they were facing the kind of insurgency and terrorism we're having in the northeast. And they reached out to the Bangladesh Defense Forces, and through a consistent management and operation by the Bangladeshi Defense Forces, they were able to defeat the insurgents in Nepal and to bring stability back to the country. So I think there's a window of opportunity for security cooperation between the Nigerian military and the Bangladeshi Defense Forces so that we can pick something from there and apply it to what the Nigerian military is deploying in addressing the insurgency issue in the Northeast. So in conclusion, I'd like to say that the similarities in historical, political, economic, and cultural experiences and the mutual interaction between the two countries offers an opportunity to expand each nation's capabilities. And the last point, which is very, very important, is that since this is a dialogue, the idea about dialogue is that you do what is called a SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And you're able to see from the basis of this analysis, where is the partner strong, where is he weak, and where are the opportunities offered. On the basis of that, you can now pick what you can help to build your own system. So, and I'd like to say that there are models that can be copied and improved by both countries to develop, to deliver demographic dividends to their respective people. That's what a partnership is all about. Learn from each other, pick what is good, and then work with it to improve your system. That way, it will further enrich the partnership. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, my HOD. This is my HOD. You know, I belong to the political science department. Sorry for other departments within the Faculty of Social Sciences that, as far as the dean, are supposed not to belong to a department. But you cannot say that in the presence of management. Because recently, when they are talking of conferences now, they say everybody must take the share from his department. So thank you very much, my HOD, once again. The HOD has presented from a different perspective, deviating from what Dr. Ebele Udoji did by being a diplomat to the core. My HOD, Dr. Guche, has gone comparative study instead of serving as a diplomat to Nigeria. So thank you very much. He has done a good comparative study of Nigeria and Bangladesh, and has gone to history and to prove that he's really an expert in international politics. He brought out the politics, the economy, the military, and so on and so forth of the two countries. So it is now time for all of us, either on site or off site, to make our comment. But we have to make it as brief as possible, because so that the refreshment will not get cold. So we'll make it as brief as possible. And if you don't have comment, if it's question that we would like to ask, we ask questions. So I could see one hand up there. So if you are interested in comment or question, let's raise up our hands so that we count. After the count, I will now be picking and calling one after the other. Only 2 ants, and the 2 ants are female. I don't know what is happening. Another ant, 3 females. Ladies, 3. No any man. So we have given the seat to the woman indirectly. No, I will call. I want to count first. After counting 1, 2, 3. Only 3? Men, where are we? We are conceding to them. So that's good. Yes, Professor Nwobere, am I right?
Thank you very much. As my dean has rightly said, my name is Chidimma Nwobere from the Department of Mass Communication for now. Professor of Mass Communication, thank you. 3 different presentations, 3 different perspectives. The High Commissioner came from a very, very sane perspective. His point is that there are problems and that this has to be taken directly by the head, no sentiments. I got a bit worried when he said that diplomacy is not an art. And I kept asking myself, this variant of public diplomacy, economic, cultural, and digital, how are you going to drive them without an art? But I got consoled when Dr. Oguche came up and said it could be both an art and science. I leave that at then. And then he again said, in his comparison of life expectancies between Bangladesh and Nigeria, Bangladesh 70 to 73, Nigeria 63 to 70. Are you saying that is where we are, or we should try to aspire to get there? That's my question from that. And then my sister, Dr. Ebele, came up with perspectives of we are making progress. We have done well, especially the females, like my dean rightly mentioned. Then Dr. Oguche came up and did an analysis. I think I go with him. There are problems here and there, but we must learn from each other to solve the problem. Then the big question is, we're in the academic institution. How do we come in as a university to drive all these things you have told us today? Research is here and there. How do we bring them to life? Are we going to get our youth that are already very upset in this position they found themselves today to start and be telling them this thing? How do we drive these things home? Thank you very much. As an institution, how do we come in? As now, thank you.
Please, the discussants, take note so that if all the questions were asked, you will not take up. No, that is the ideal, sir. To save time. To save time. Yes, ma'am. Next, you raise up your hand, or you are withdrawn. No, I'm following row by row.
Good afternoon, everyone. Please permit me to stand on the existing protocol. Actually, Prof has mentioned some of my worries, but in addition, I want to say that when the HOD was speaking, she did mention about the cocoa, the agricultural, what do I call it, achievements of Nigeria. And I knew that I heard those stories when we were in primary schools. And this time around, that insecurity has taken over everywhere. She also did mention about people coming with foreigners, at Lagos, and they feel very free and all that. I want to ask, how do we, go back to those good areas that she did mention? Because currently, it's, looks like a challenge to the country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon all. I am Dr. Chinenye Ifyok. I stand on the existing protocol. So, having listened very properly to the presenters, starting from the High Commissioner to Dr. Ebele, our reader, and to our able HOD, Dr. Oguche. My question is very simple and straight. You have enumerated your areas of specialties and what you can do for Nigeria. Of course, it should be with the youth and others, if I'm not mistaken. So, what are the templates for the marriage of these business opportunities? And at what time can it kickstart? Or is it just presentation and no action taken immediately? And again, the hitches that people face when they come with ideas or marriage of businesses, maybe with Nigeria and Bangladesh? How do you look at these hitches so that they will be curbed, and when looked into appropriately, and you see genuinely the ideas and businesses that these people are going to marry together with your country, how do you ensure that all those things are taken care of and there will be proper takeoff and with evidences at any moment? These are my questions, and thank you very much.
That's a wonderful question. Third question and first question has similarity. When it talks about diplomacy is a tact, that's what we have learned. It's not mentioned diplomacy is an act. Diplomacy is a tact. It is not mentioned in the book of Sato's diplomacy that the other side, which I added, it is not an act. I will stand by this version because diplomats, what we do are actually tact. We directly don't act. Diplomats cannot act. So what I am doing here is not, it's visible. Act is visible, right? So you can see me, I am doing something, right? Act. But actually you are seeing my tact. What I am doing is a tact. This is the most vital thing that diplomats do. Because I cannot, and the third question is it just presentation, or how do you ensure the engagement of the two things? Those were the actions, but even there I am absent. Even there I am absent. Quite interesting. I mean, we are creating that space, and in that space I cannot belong. So you will not see me in those actions. And that should be the idealist of a diplomat. Okay, if you are talking about a realist of a diplomat, some of those realist diplomats who even wants to be there. For example, one US ambassador, the previous ambassador, left the job, and then he went out to join an energy company as CEO in Bangladesh and made a deal. Well, now that's the, so he cannot be actually into the action. Never. It's compromising to your ethics. What I have done, you have seen me, right? It's my tact you have seen. What I have said is fully a tact in disguise. Diplomacy is also a other face of spying, you know, people in some or other, because we get information and give it back to Bangladesh. But there has to be a just diplomat. I mentioned, talk about reciprocity. I talked about morality. Moral diplomat, or an idealist diplomat, or a realist diplomat. You know, among developing countries, there is no ground to be a realist diplomat, and I don't think a realist diplomat will be able to work in a peacetime scenario, in a condition where we are witnessing the erosion of UN. We are seeing a condition of UN's authority, in fact, in all spheres, including Gaza and everywhere. And those who brought about the ceasefire, they actually worked from behind. Diplomacy is always done from behind. So this is the tact. This is the tact. And action is done by the visions and policies that are laid down through the tact. And by the motivation, by the social capital that diplomats are creating, and And I said about coherence. So there must be an unanimity. You may disagree with me what I have said. Right. And even I was quite certain that there will be talks on Bangladesh-Nigeria relations. I very carefully didn't present anything on Bangladesh-Nigeria relations, but I am so fortunate and grateful to the respected faculties that they put on a wonderful presentation. And the other thing is, I think, life expectancy. Life expectancy is, I mentioned about Bangladesh's life expectancy is 73, and Bangladesh's life expectancy has been one of the driving factor for our growth. But this is again, you cannot calculate, how much, but there is a estimate that if a 5%, 5 years of life expectancy increased, 1% of GDP is increased. There are a lot of hypotheses by different scholars. People may do some research. For Nigeria, the life expectancy is around 63 or 64. There may be a difference between a lot of experts, but one of my assessment which I didn't mention, but I will say that there is huge opportunity that this life expectancy will be, enhanced. And as the life expectancy will be enhanced, the demographic dividend will be falling in place. Because I also mentioned that if your age is around 73, 74, you are active until 70, 68, 69, then you actually can contribute more to your children, to get them more better educated, to get them doing business better, nicely. And throughout my all presentation, I carefully avoided Nigeria, Bangladesh, maybe a little bit, but I tried to keep it an academic discourse. And by that, what I wanted to mention that people should learn from the academics and the synergies and cross currents that who will be your best suit. There will be so many developing countries, right? So many, and then it is better to find out from your findings. And that's how the sustainability of and solidification of the relationship. If you look back the relationship between Bangladesh and Nigeria, I think it suffered. We opened, we went back. You opened, you went back. Then we came here, and we are not going back this time, because we are certain that we are in Nigeria, and we are going to promote, to deepen, and continue to deepen our relations. Thank you.
Yes, it's your turn. Thank you, sir. What I want to address is the issue raised by Professor Onwubere concerning how do we get our youth, how do we get them to be interested in the real thing and not being on the laptop and chasing shadows. I want to say that the Nigerian government have been trying in creating entrepreneurship and innovative programs so that the youth can get interested. Those who are really interested, they've cashed into it. Like in 2011, when Goodluck Jonathan was president, he formed this entrepreneurship program. It's called You Win. You Win, and it's for the Nigerian youth so that they can showcase their whatever they have in their brain. They can showcase their businesses, and they did. And 3 ministries were brought together, and the World Bank sponsored it. And many of them who succeeded in their businesses being recognized, they were sponsored to start those businesses. So it's just that some of our youth are simply not interested. The government on its own has been trying. And even now, I think there's one going on. that applications, the federal government has asked the youth to apply. Whatever you think you can do, bring it, let us see. Okay, thank you. I want to address what the High Commissioner of Bangladesh has said. He mentioned about we opening our embassies there. If Nigerians are in Bangladesh and they are studying, taking degrees, we have universities in Nigeria, but they are there and they are studying and getting degrees. Bangladeshis are not coming here. Is it when we open an embassy in Bangladesh, in Dhaka, that they will start coming? You cannot open an embassy when there are maybe only 50 people looking for visa. So, sir, I think your people have to step up in their applications to come to Nigeria. They need to come to Nigeria to see what we have. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Your Excellency, sir, with all due respect to Your Excellency, I want to make a little clarification. This is a university. It's an academic institution. When Professor Mubere said that she reiterated my earlier point about diplomacy also being an art, but the ambassador said that he still thinks it's not an art. And for the purpose of our audience, because this is a university, it's an academic institution, it's important to get every definition correctly, because we also have students here. And we don't want them to leave here either being misled or getting a wrong interpretation about the issues or inability to put them in context. The standard text, as far as political science is concerned, says that diplomacy is both an art and a science. And the art aspect that the ambassador is not comfortable with is part of that definition. I just Googled now, and Google answered me and said art is a field of humanities, which is a broad field that studies human culture, expression, and thought, which are main ingredients of diplomacy. That's what Google said. And so arts and humanities are closely related disciplines that help an understanding of the world. That is also what diplomacy is all about. So no matter which angle you want to come from, in a definition of diplomacy, you cannot discountenance the point that is also an art. For an academic institution, we need to make that clarification. Thank you.
I think it's a kind of, how do I put it now? Is it a pronunciation? The High Commissioner is talking of ACT, A-C-T. It's not A-R-T. He's talking of ACT. It's not ART. And when he was given chance, he repeated it. And with explanation, with sample, that whatever we are doing here, he cannot act on it. He will just write a report back home. It is home they will act. 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 Not art. So thank God at least we rounded up with a little laughter, despite the fact I'm not a comedian. But at least I make you to laugh. Except the comedian will say that some people's problem is more than laughing. You know, there's some problem in the comedy that when they crack joke, you still stay there, you will not even respond. So the comedian will say your problem is more than laugh. That is why you are not laughing. Thank you very much, everyone. We are trying to round up. I'll hand over to the MC to bring us through the one or two items remaining on the program. In conclusion, it is in the interest of every country to have embassy in foreign countries. But mostly, sometimes, like we did now, we are doing Nigeria. The embassy or high commission taking care of Bangladesh is in India because of proximity and because of economy. It depends on your economy power. Because to fund embassy is costly. So at least for now, that is what we have. With time, when the trade is growing and we can be able to fund it, maybe the embassy will be open there. It's not out of discrimination. It's just because of confidence. So thank you very much. MC?
Since diplomacy, you know, the most important thing of diplomacy is, I think diplomacy or diplomat, there is always an issue. That's why I consciously chose it, that diplomacy as a social capital. Because people in general sometimes think, okay, they are coming from their country and they will look for their interest. You know, kind of I said about a spy or espionages are also part of diplomacy, you know. I talked about realism, I talked about idealism in diplomacy. You know, one of the examples of diplomacy that said is why I say tact. Two things I think. There is only art, it's a art and practice of conducting negotiation between nations. And then what is tact? Tact is skill in handling affairs without arousing hostility. That means my every statement, I have to be very careful so that it doesn't create hostility or confusion. Rather, you know, it cannot destabilize the scenario. So that's a very tranquil land. And unfortunately, in today's world, we see diplomacy has deregulated, became poisonous, and not following this particular policy, that they don't know that it is actually a tact. Diplomacy is always done in closed door, behind. Even if your negotiation goes against the people, but still it has to be done indoors. Diplomacy is done in secretly. But how they will reflect people's will, people's interest? Because diplomacy is actually safeguarding the people's interest. And now, to safeguard your people's interest, safeguard your country's sovereignty, then, well, your country's sovereignty, my country's sovereignty, is the first and foremost word of diplomacy, right? In that case, people's interest is not my interest. If I talk about people's interest and your country's interest, then your country's interest comes first, and then your sovereignty comes first. So such delicate things, you know, a diplomat seen acting, you know, action means it's visible, and diplomats' action shouldn't be visible. And when I am speaking on an academic setup, as a diplomat, I cannot demonstrate anything that can arouse difference, that can spark knowledge, that can spark understanding, and the people will decide. You know, of course we are influencer. I'm not, but I also said you are also a diplomat. Remember that. All of you are diplomat. You know, every diaspora member is a diplomat of their country. And that's what I tried to instill today. And of course, not to mention, you will find yourself gradually when and how. These are actually, I know, but I will not tell. That is also a part of my purpose, because one businessman has discussed with me something. In the same field, some other businessman has discussed something. I should hide this information from other, and I cannot tell it in the open platform. Do you get my point? So it's a very difficult role. You are doing it because you have to hide also, so that there is not a turbulence in the business climate society. And we are very happy. You said one of the finest thing, if there is, and that is my heart's word, you know, if the people in Bangladesh, they do not feel interested to come to Nigeria, then why you will keep your embassy in Bangladesh? Very much correct. In Nigeria, you have shown lot of desire to go to Bangladesh, and we have made our visa system very, practical and relevant, and not very protectionism. So you are most welcome to visit Bangladesh. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Kamal, the coordinator, the moderator, and permit me to use the facilitator of that interactive session. And that brings us to the end of proceedings here with regards dialogue on diplomacy as a social capital for attaining demographic dividend, case for Bangladesh and Nigeria. But before we depart, I would like to invite the Deputy Vice Chancellor in charge of administration of the National Open University of Nigeria for a closing remark.
Thank you very much. You will agree with me that we have been enlightened. The three speakers did very well. The Bangladesh High Commissioner is quite versatile. And our own people have delivered as lecturers indeed, each and every one of them. For that, can we give them another round of applause? Well, thank you very much. I'm sure myself I've picked one or two things, but for the sake of time, I don't want to dwell on that. I'm happy with the improvement in agriculture. I'm also taking note of the issue of AI, generative AI, and regenerative AI. What is AI? AI is simulation of human intelligence, mostly using machines, mostly computers. I'm sure you must have taken one or two lessons, or you might have gotten one or two things. I must say thank you very much for staying put. Sometimes it's not the beginning, it is the end that is more important. And so I want to say thank you for waiting up to this end. Have the best of the remaining part of the day. With this, I want to declare this event closed on behalf of the VC.
May we please rise for the anthem. We take the NOUN anthem, the People's Republic of Bangladesh anthem, and the Nigeria's national anthem. The People's Republic of Bangladesh anthem. And now, Nigeria's national anthem.
Justice reigns.